Are we live? We are live. Okay. Howdy, everybody. It's June 21st of 2021, and I'm going to talk a bit about the problems and issues I'm going to have to deal with to get this house livable. A little background on the project. I bought this property January of 2020. And then the world fell apart in March of 2020, and that put a hold on things. And I eventually built this building in February of 2021. Then once the building was up, I've spent the last couple months framing and doing some of the plumbing and electrical work. I've had help with that. And now I'm at a point where the framing's done, the plumbing and electrical is all done except for the finish out, and that's it. The rest it all has to be done still. But I'm sort of gonna try to rank them in list of priorities. And these priorities might not be your priorities, but they're definitely mine. This is my living place. But first, septic tank. The septic tank has not been installed. So I have a bunch of working plumbing and nowhere to put water. However, good news today is the septic tank should be installed on the 29th of June. So one day before I move in. And yeah, my move-in date to this place is starting in July. I'll be moving out of my apartment into here no matter what state this building is in. So that sort of puts a giant clock over my head. If I want to live in comfort, I have a lot of work to do. So the septic tank will be installed, but that's issue number one. However, luckily there was no issues with permitting it, no issues finding decent company to do it, so that should go pretty smoothly. Fingers crossed. It's been delayed a couple of months because of all the rain I've had in my area. And I'm just glad that I can have it done before I move in. That segues nicely into issue number two, is that I need to set up my sinks in the bathroom and kitchen and the garage, the countertops for them. I need to plumb them into the wall, and I also need to set up the shower and toilet. That is a lot of work. It's something I have very little experience in, but I will be doing myself. So, hooray. For the shower, I'm probably gonna use one of the cheapo acrylic pans and siding that already exists. That way I can just install it, throw it in, and renovate it down the road. I'm just at the point where I'd rather have a shower than no shower. And that makes the most sense to get it done in a timely fashion. It's cheap, and for my total lack of experience, I don't run the risk of jumping into that project and foo-barring it up and not being able to trust in a well-done shower. As many of y'all know, showers can lead to a host of other problems if not done properly. So I'm going to start simple, and down the road I can get more complicated. Also, it's incredibly hot and humid in this place, so I'm probably sweating. That comes to problem number three. There's no air conditioning. However, I have 3 massive ceiling fans that I need to install. I have floor fans, and I can put window units in. Eventually I'm going to put a mini split system in this house, but that is going to run me around $5,000, and honestly, that's $5,000 I don't have until sometime next year. So in the meantime, it's going to be about making myself comfortable in here with those alternates that I mentioned before. I'm lucky that I have a fridge and a freezer, so I can keep plenty of cold water around. I have cold water running on the tap. I live in a completely shaded area, so even though it's 80 degrees in the house right now, it's actually closer to 100 outside, which is really nice. fans help a lot. But me and my dogs, we're going to be a bit uncomfortable to start out with. Whatever, I'll deal with it. But going back to problem number 2 with no shower, you know, it's something I need to solve pretty soon. Otherwise, it's just going to be icky and gross in here, and especially if I'm working a lot, staying cool and keeping clean are going to be big priorities. Problem number 4, related to the dogs, is I need to fence off my property. I have a number of acres, more than one. I'll say less than 100, but I need to fence off the area around my house so I can let my dogs in and out freely. I live in a pretty rural area. All my neighbors have dogs. Some of them are very large and aggressive, and not to mention other threats like pigs and coyotes and snakes and just running around and exploring and chasing deer and stuff like that. I want my dogs to be able to be pretty safe and for me to be able to let them out of the house and not worry about them. So I need to fence off my house. I do have sitting outside 400, 500 feet of fence and all the posts. I just need to get to that. That'll be this summer. And once problem number 1, septic, is solved, I can go ahead and throw in the fence, because that's the last big backhoes that are going to be coming through the property. And until then, it wouldn't make sense to put up a fence just to have a giant Tonka truck roll over it. I'm not sure if I said that's problem 4 or 5, but anyways, on to the next problem. As you can see, the walls behind me, they aren't walls, they're just 2x4s. I have all the insulation. I need to go in and install it everywhere. And then I need to work on finishing the entire place. It's really hot in here. Finishing is going to be a pain. I've got drywall quoted, but I'm probably going to end up doing it myself. I'm going to have to learn to do that in a proper method. I also have some other ideas like shiplap and corrugated tin, but likely I'm going to throw the insulation in and it'll be bare for half a year, because also in order to finish this place, the walls, it's going to cost me $5,000 to $10,000, and that is money I don't have yet. It'll come, but I got to get back to work to do that. But that is a major issue, is getting these walls done. I personally am not opposed to the way it is right now, but it's not in a presentable state. Even once I hang the insulation, cool. Well, wow, I have half walls, and especially for problem number 2, which was the showers and the sinks and stuff. I'm not going to want to put the cabinets in and the countertops in when the walls aren't done, because I just have to pull them out later, and I run the risk of water getting in the walls and on all these bare wires and stuff, and it's just not that safe of environment, and I risk adding damage to the building that I don't want to happen. Speaking of water, problem number 6 is I need to work on leveling the ground around my place. I had a dirt pad put on that the concrete was then on top of, but I don't have gutters on the building, and we received a pretty heavy amount of rain this spring. Like I said, the septic tank was delayed for a long time because of all the water we had. And I have drainage issues around my house. Not only is there a lot of standing water after it rains, but in one place of the house it's susceptible to flooding, and in others the pad is eroding away. So I need to bring in dirt, I need to level the area, I need to add in some gravel and some grass and burlap and whatever I have to do to keep my pad in the same place and prevent damage to my house. And I'll show that problem later on too. I'll show all these problems when I dive into them individually, and you can see exactly what I'm dealing with. Problem number 7, it's good that I'm slowing down, because that means less problems I have. But problem number 7 is going to be just pure finish work. I mentioned the drywall earlier, but this is more painting, light fixtures, getting it to where I could put furniture in here. I have some stuff in my apartment that I don't want to damage. I have some furniture in storage that I wouldn't want damaged. And I have no qualms about moving all my tools in here because a shop's a shop and it's going to get dirty and stuff in there is going to be, you know, not in the cleanest state at all times. And a tool's a tool and it serves a job. But as far as couches and stuff go, I don't want to put all that stuff into an active workplace. If I come through and paint or stain the concrete and stuff, then I'd be throwing tarps on everything and it would just be more added work. So that's a balancing act I have to work with. Problem number 8, and this is actually higher on the list because I have 9 days till I move in here, but it's actually moving in here. I have to move the contents of my apartment either into storage or into here. However, that's the least difficult problem. I've moved all that stuff before. I don't have much stuff. Honestly, it's mainly books and some furniture, bed on a bed frame. Yes, I own a bed frame. I'm that grown up. I didn't bring much furniture to my current apartment because I knew I would be moving out in about a year into this place. So I will have the luxury of being able to buy new furniture whenever that time happens and have it shipped and delivered here. But it's still going to be a balancing act. Problem number 10 is in the short term, until I get the kitchen finished out, I'm going to be doing a lot of grilling and alternate cooking methods. And also, if the septic isn't correct, I won't be able to wash dishes except for, you know, crudely, like as if I was camping. So it'd be a lot of grilling, a lot of paper plates. I have power on, as you can see lights behind me. And in yesterday's video, y'all probably could all hear the fan in the background. But with the power on means I have a working fridge, I have a working stove, I have a working microwave, toaster oven, I'll have countertops. So cooking, I'll have a lot of options, but it'll also be balancing in and out dishes and trash and etc. Problem 11 is trash. I'm in such a rural area, there's not trash pickup really. So I need to figure out ways to dispose of it. And currently I maybe fill up a 55-gallon trash bag every week out here. And I bring it into town and throw it in a dumpster. And I burn other stuff too. Sue me for polluting, you know. But that is another issue. And I guess the final problem I'll highlight today is just getting used to a more rural lifestyle. I'm 10 miles away from the nearest gas station, 20 miles away from what you would call a grocery store. A mechanic is probably 15 miles away. So I have to be fairly sustainable, self-sustainable out here. I need to be able to fix most problems on my car if it breaks down. Otherwise, I'm walking to town for 10 miles to, tell somebody to come tow my car. I need to be able to have food for a week at a time. I need to be able to be prepared if power and water go out to my place due to a thunderstorm, a tornado, or hurricane, or freeze, or any of the litany of weather problems that can happen and will happen. It's not just can, it's will. In fact, a tropical storm missed my place by 50 miles this last week. And last summer, I had a direct hit by 2 tropical storms and froze over twice, which is all stuff I have to be prepared for. And living in the rural life, you have to be prepared. If I get bit by a copperhead, I have to know what to do. If I hurt myself, I have to know what to do. If my dogs get hurt, I have to know what I do because then it becomes life and death. It's not, I'm living in a city with a hospital 5 minutes away, it's 911 call to help me. No, it's me helping myself, and I'm putting myself at a lot more risk working around a lot of brush, so there's a lot of spiders and snakes that I have to watch out for. But also I'm working with saws and drills and nails and chemicals and all this stuff that I don't have much experience with, and a mistake can be potentially fatal. You can see wires hanging directly behind me. I'm wiring lights, and I'm not an electrician. I live in a metal building, so I'm cutting through that, and that's a new experience. In fact, I had to rent a backhoe to work on my place, and I put the backhoe through the wall of my building. And luckily it was only a 2-inch gap. I didn't hurt myself. I didn't hurt any of the framing or the structural integrity of the building, but it was sure of a hell of an embarrassing moment and a wake up that things can go wrong very quickly, and that I am my first form of reliance. But anyways, those are my main problems. I'm sure I only mentioned 10. I have 89 more. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. If anybody wants to mention their experiences or ideas for me or whatnot, throw them at me. But it's going to be a busy summer. I'm going to be sweating a lot more. Hopefully I have a shower for when I do that. But yeah, deuce.